Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. D Sehota Hey.
Dice by dance, dance, dance.
Dance dance. This episode is all about dance dance. And obviously the options are all but limitless when one wants to talk about dance dance in Indian cinema. We are doing Hindi cinema. We are doing just kind of pick two movies that we like, honestly, about dance dance in some way or other. There are many, 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 many more. And we look forward to hearing yours in the comments. I chose, as will surprise no one, Disco Dancer, because I love this movie. It is high time that Mithun Chakraborty entered the podcast. He's one of my, I don't know if I would call him one of my favorites. Oh, he's not a favorite, but he is a person that every time I see him, I'm very happy. There's something about Mithun that I love. So
I think it
maybe
is specifically the hip thrusts, perhaps.
I love his crazy dance moves. I've heard many different opinions on his quality as a dancer. I'm not qualified to judge, but I always enjoy it, even when you can tell that like Sri Devi or whoever is, kind of going circles around him. I still enjoy him very much. And no, I have not seen the like arty movie that everyone was like, oh, what a good actor. I haven't seen that, and I will someday.
Right.
But I love my myth and masala movies. And
Right.
Pitu selected Jhoom Barabar Jhoom. So we
Yes.
have two fairly different films to talk about. And I don't know. I know Pitu's got something she's excited to get off the bat. So go for it.
So I was chatting with my mom, and my mom was like, we were just generally chatting, and she's like, "What is the next episode on your podcast?" And I was like, "Oh, tomorrow Beth and I have to record Dance Dance." And she's like, "Is that about like dance?" And I was like, "Well, we're each choosing a movie that where the protagonist is like a dancer or whatever." And she's like, "Oh, that's a cool topic. What did you choose?" So I go, "I chose Jhoom Barabar Jhoom. It's a movie from 2007." I gave her all the details. I was like, "It has Abhishek Bachchan and Preeti Zinta and Bobby Deol and Dara Datta." None of this was making any like, it was
No
not
bells,
landing
huh?
with my
Yeah.
mom. My mom was like, okay, is it a good movie?" I was like, "It's a fun movie. I don't know if it's a good movie, but it's a fun movie." And she's like, "Okay. And all of those people are dancers?" And I'm like, "Kind of, sort of, yeah." And she's like, "Huh." You could tell she did not care. And then she goes, "What did Bet choose?" And I was like, "Bet chose Disco Dancer." And she's like, "The Mithun Chakravarti one." I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "The one in which he's a disco dancer, he does all the disco?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, presumably, yes." She's like, "That is such a good movie. I'm so glad Ben chose that movie." And I'm like, "Great. This is like classic. All Indian children know this. This is classic Sharma ji ka beta." So this is when you do something and your parents say, "Really? You did that? But Sharma ji ka beta did that." So now, like, my movie choices are being judged against yours, and yours are being deemed much more worthy by my mom.
I I mean, this is the power of Disco Dancer, which is,
Yes.
you know, when I first started watching Hindi films, this movie was kind of considered, I would say, the crown jewel in a sort of certain kind of like kitsch or
Yeah,
whatever. And
campy.
yeah, and I'm no expert on camp and kitsch. I have not even read all of Notes on Camp, so I would love for someone to get into that, but it can't be me. But I genuinely really like this movie. I don't like it in a so bad it's good way. I don't really believe in so bad it's good. If you find it good, it's good. I genuinely enjoy it. I think yesterday was my fifth time I've watched it. I
Wow.
just and it's not just the songs, although I do really very much enjoy the songs. And there are a lot of criticisms that can be levied against Disco Dancer. Some of them are criticisms I've made of other films on this podcast, I'm sure. But I just have such a good time in this movie. And I also have a very good time with June Barbar June.
Yeah. Mhm. I think that's the thing about both these movies that we've chosen. I mean, if you want to talk about like movies where dance plays a central theme in it, there are many, many incredibly good films like Bhumika, Sham Benegal's Bhumika
Oh,
with Smita
yeah,
Patel. I mean, come on, that is like the
yeah,
gold standard. And then
yeah.
even like in commercial cinema, I would say movies like Dil To Pagal Hai. And
Mhm.
then if you like a dance movie that like tugs at your heartstrings, then Nache Mayuri with Sudha Chandra, and that's a really good one. And it's based on her real life story. Like she was a dancer and she had a road accident, I think.
Mm,
Her leg amputated,
mm,
and then she was given what was known back in the day as a Jaipur foot, which means like
mm.
an artificial foot. And then she learned how to dance on that, and she continues to dance Bharatnatyam with that
Wow.
artificial leg. So Nachi Mayuri, that's like definitely like a heart tugging movie, but very, very like amazing, very like I Am Survivor kind of vibes. So there's all these like different dance movies, but I would categorize Disco Dancer and Jhoom Barabar Jhoom as like a very interesting category of giddy delight.
Yes, well said.
It's just fun. It's
Yeah.
like when you're not in the mood for nutrition, because nutrition would be Bhumika. This is more like you just wanna go to Haagen-Dazs and you just wanna have a cone. That's it. You just want like a mint chocolate chip cone or something like that, and you just wanna sit on a park bench in the sunshine and have a good time. So it's just like it's giddy delight, and there is a place for that
Oh,
in
yeah.
our lives. Another movie that's like it's not really a dance movie, but fits in this giddy delight is Karma.
Oh,
With
sure. Yeah.
Jitendra, Aruna Irani, and Asha Parekh. It has that same giddiness to
Mhm,
it. It's
mhm,
frothy and fun.
mhm.
So tell me why you love Disco Dancer so much, like specifically.
Yeah, so I oh, it's sparkly, it's colorful, it has the power of Mithunda, whom I really enjoy. It's got a really interesting cast, like
Yeah.
Om Puri is in it, Rajesh Khanna is in it, Mithun is in it, Bob Christo is in it. Like it's got such an array of
Yeah.
now the women in this movie are quite forgettable. We must say, like from a filmy lady's perspective, this is not a filmy lady kind of
No.
movie in terms of who's in it. Like poor Ma. I mean,
Yeah, Purva.
poor Ma.
But I will
And
say I love Kalpana Iyer. She's all kinds of
yes,
hotness.
she's
Yes.
fun. And I know Kim is not like highly
Yeah.
regarded as a great actor, but
She's
I think
fine.
she's good and she looks great in her disco outfits and everything.
Yes.
So I don't think this movie probably set out to be frothy fun because it's actually really about revenge, right?
It's
It's
a
not,
vendetta.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a vendetta that's very much dressed up in disco in 1982, like, you know, but for when you can sort of you've already absorbed the revenge plot because it's like every other revenge movie. By the way, the Indian movies about revenge page on Wikipedia is
Mhm.
amazingly
Super
large,
long.
obviously.
Yeah.
That was a fun because I got to the page about dance and then I was movies about dance and then Wikipedia also had, Indian movies about revenge. I was like, all of them. um,
It should be like a Venn diagram. Movies about
right.
revenge, movies about dance, dance
I know,
movies
right?
about revenge.
Uh, um, so yeah, I agree. It's really, really fun. I don't think of myself as a disco. Um, I'm not particularly knowledgeable. I enjoy it. It was popular when I was a very little kid. So like I have good memories of going roller skating with disco music on at the roller rink and things like that. But I don't know. I just find this movie really fun and it's fun watching Mithun do what our friend Temple in Australia refers to as tippy toe prancing. There's a lot of sort of prancy dancing in this. Um, the music is fun. The music is very recognizable. If you are familiar with sort of
Yes.
Western pop music,
Mhm.
there's a lot of copying going on in this song. Boppy. um, but it's just, I don't know, it's just super catchy and it's kind of silly. Did it know it was silly? Probably. I don't know if it's presented as silly, but I mean, there's a snap fight.
Yeah.
There's a snap fight. There's like the amazing debauched superstar on his way out, Sam, who's like
Sam.
injecting himself with drugs and you know screaming and I don't know.
He's
And
such a diva, by the way. Oh my
he's such a
God.
diva. Yeah, he's the most debauched. Um,
So debauched.
it has death by electric guitar that results in guitar phobia.
Yes,
Like
I love it. I love it. So I was actually thinking about this. I was like, because I was thinking about Coonbury Monk. I
mm,
always constantly think about Coonbury
why
Monk.
not?
It occupies
Mm.
an entire mental folder in my brain. Like if someone were to do an autopsy and there were like cerebrum and cerebellum, and then there would be like Coonbury Monk. So I was thinking about Coonbury Monk as one does.
Mm.
And I was thinking that one of my favorite murder methods is
Oh yeah,
death by
yeah,
crocodile,
yeah, yeah,
but I
yeah.
also realized that death by electrocution by electric guitar also ranks up there in terms of
Primo.
sheer inventiveness,
I'm
and I love that.
I meant to ask Twitter last night, like, is this one of the best 5 deaths in Bollywood?
Yes.
Because I think it probably is.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
spoiler alert, obviously we're spoiling both these movies, but the final death in this movie is of the villain, and he dies by electrocuted car bumper,
I think so.
which is slightly less exciting, but still good.
It's still electrocution.
Still pretty unique as far as I know. Um, I
I also
love,
love when Ma dies and she falls into
yeah,
slow
with all the
motion
colors
to a
flashing.
soundtrack, and it's like, this whole movie is a fever dream.
This
I
movie
feel
does have
like
fever dream to it, yeah.
right? Like, I feel like it has those elements of fever dream from, like, Jambas,
Uh-huh.
when Sridevi is, like, all like,
Yeah,
"Woohoo!" It has
yeah,
that happening.
yeah. And disco lights do lead to sort of seizure effects, obviously. So there's
Yes.
a lot of, um, the choreography and the execution of the choreography in this film. I would love to hear actual disco dancers talk about it because I don't really know. I watched a
Yeah.
lot of Solid Gold as a kid, but I don't really know anything about disco. But it's enthusiastic, it's fun. A lot of it I could probably do, which is always
Right?
enjoyable. But like in that first song, the one that is Video Killed the Radio Star, when Sam
Yeah.
like leaps into frame and goes, "Wah!" Like, what is that? I don't know, but like every time you think
I
you've got
enjoyed it,
this,
though.
oh yeah, every time you think you've got this movie figured out, it tosses something else at you, and you're like, okay, and it's so enjoyable. I just am always along for the ride. I also want to talk about a thing that maybe you remember, and I don't know who else will. Circa 2006, 7, 8, somewhere in there in the depths of the internet, there was a website where you could send people a clip of various Indian films. I think most of them were Hindi, if I recall. And you could
Mhm.
like add text to them, kind of like a proto
Yeah.
TikTok in a way. And Disco Dancer was one of the ones that they had clips from. So this, like, clips of this movie circulated among our friend group quite a bit with
Right.
people writing their own funny text to it. Dawn was also one of the ones that they had. So I just
Yeah.
have all these good memories of like little weird bits of this film. Like there's a Jesus disco song that he's
Yes.
performing and sweating to, and on
No,
Wikipedia you
there's a
can,
yeah,
and then
yes.
there's the Krishna song. Like we're missing sort
Yeah.
of an Allah disco
Yeah.
song, but
The
it's
Jesus one was very odd because on the one hand, he looked like he was in a trance, but on the other
yes,
side, he also looked aroused.
it's confused. Well,
And
yeah,
I
like
was
religious
like,
fervor, right? That's kind
yeah,
of a thing.
I
Like,
was
is
like,
this
this is
unexpectedly
alarming.
deep? Is he a groom of Christ? I don't know. But there's, and on Wikipedia they actually talk about what song that actually is, because
Right.
it's clearly not something from this movie. But you're like, what is this Jesus disco song? But of course, there's Jesus
Yeah.
disco. Why not?
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
love that in
like the
that
first,
song also, right behind him, there's a poster of John Travolta and Saturday Night
right.
Fever,
In case
because
you didn't
Saturday
know,
Night Fever is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have it on DVD, and I love that
nice.
movie. Yeah, like from the start, like from the credits, when you see John Travolta just like swinging, and he has the paint
Hmm.
can in his hand, and his booty, oh, such a fine booty. Like as cinematic booties go, I would say John
Gonna be up
Travolta's
there, right?
booty in Staying
Yeah.
Alive is like really up there. And then like it has some of those elements in it where you can clearly tell that the makers of this film watched Saturday Night
Oh
Live,
yeah,
Fever,
yeah.
and loved John Travolta. So I was very happy to see Mr. Travolta like on the wall behind him.
I love, so in the title song, but then also in that one, what is it? Ah oh ah or whatever, when
Awa,
he's,
awa,
yeah,
awa,
uh
awa, koi yahan nache nache.
no, the one
Not
where
that.
he enters as the disco dancer and the audience is ready to throw their shoes and then they
Yeah,
like
yeah,
all
yeah.
come around. He looks like he's having so much fun in that song, like
Yes.
swiveling his hips and dancing around, and like when he gets the audience to dance with him and stuff, like it's just really fun. It's really
Yeah.
fun. And that has
He's
nothing to do with
very,
revenge really, but like he's very
yeah.
engaging, I think, in segments
He's
of this movie.
He's very adorkable in this
Yeah.
movie, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, he's not smooth at all. He's
No.
just like Travolta is
Oh
smooth.
yeah. Yeah.
He is like adorkable. Like, he's
Mhm.
cute and he's this sweet little smile, like in Bombay se
The
Aaya Mera
great
Dost. He's so
smile.
adorable.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, wait, I'm from Mumbai. Now I have this unrealistic expectation where anytime I visit a friend, like in India, and they're not from Mumbai, they need to sing that song for me
Yes, they do.
because why shouldn't they?
Why
But
not?
he's so cute in that. And I think so here's you did mention where you said you don't know where Mithunda ranks in terms of dancing.
Right.
I have never thought of Mithunda as like a good dancer. Like when I think of a good dancer, I think of Hrithik Roshan number one, like among the men, and
Yep.
then I think of Shah Rukh Khan, and Govinda is a very good dancer.
Yep.
I've never thought. To me, Mithun is in the same category as Jitendra,
I was
where
gonna
they're
ask.
widely,
Yeah.
yeah, like both are widely considered good dancers, but I watch their dances and I'm like, okay, but like I could do this and I'm a
It's
terrible
relative.
dancer.
It's very relative, as
Yeah,
we've discussed. The bar for the men
yeah,
is very low until
it's
quite
very
recently. But I do think he's in, and Jitendra too, like they're often enthusiastic.
They
And
are.
Rishi Kapoor, right? They're
Yes.
enthusiastic. That
There's a
counts for a lot.
charm to them
Mhm.
that I think they're very good performers.
Yes,
I
that's a
don't
good
necessarily
distinction.
yeah, I don't
Mhm.
necessarily think they're good dancers, but I think they're very engaging performers and they make you smile. Like
Yeah.
when I watch Jitendra smiling, dancing, I smile, but I don't
Mhm.
necessarily look at him and go, "Wow, you're such a great dancer, Jitendra." And what was really funny in some of the dances in Disco Dancer is like if you look at the extras, like the people, especially specifically in the Krishna song, oh my god, the extras are so good. And
Oh,
this
yeah.
guy who is theoretically a superstar is not even half as good as they are. And I was like, okay,
And
but
that
like you are
happens
the
I mean,
disco
that
dancer.
happens across Indian cinema
Yes.
as far as I've seen, right? Like, you get that
Yeah.
fairly often, but it's particularly noticeable in some of these. I I had not known until this rewatch that there is a Tamil and a Telugu remake of this movie.
I
So I
didn't
did
know.
go to YouTube and I did find some of the Tamil songs, and I forget the name of the actor in there. It wasn't someone I knew, but he also was having a grand old time and shimmying around and everything. And the songs that I sampled are the same music. Um,
Okay.
and those are highly worth a watch if you, like me, are new to them. They're pretty fun. Would they be even better if they were Kamal Hassan? Maybe, but they're still pretty fun. This is where I will note that over the years, Twitter has helped me put together an absolutely massive Indian film disco playlist.
Mhm.
I will link it. I think there's well over 50 songs. I think there might even be something like 80 songs in there. So if you want your Kamal Hassan disco, I got you. We got Mithun, we got Rishi, we got a whole bunch of people.
Right.
It's a really, really fun playlist. And if you're having a bad day, just put it on and like glance at the screen every now and again and it'll help.
Right. My favorite disco songs were actually picturized on Govinda.
Sure.
So there is one song especially that I was little, I don't remember what movie it was, but it's him and Kimi Katkar, and
Mm.
the set is absolutely amazing. So it's a big clock,
Oh
and they're
yeah.
dancing. Yeah, they're dancing on the clock, and the lyrics go
Mhm.
"Tick tick bole dil ki ghadi, प्यार करो घड़ी घड़ी आना आना सुबह के 6 बजे जाना something something and then the chorus goes tick 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 tick. I love it. There's times I'm like doing something mind-numbingly boring, like folding laundry, and I randomly remember the song and I put it on YouTube
Tick,
and I
tick,
won't
tick,
sing
tick,
along, but I'll go tick
tick.
tick 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 tick. It's so much fun. If you want to frustrate your significant other or your
Mm.
friend or your roommate, I highly recommend playing the song on
Tick, tick,
loop.
tick,
They
tick,
will
tick, tick.
murder you, probably by crocodile. Um,
I think one of the things that we have to say about disco in general is just that it is this, at least in the United States, um, is this form that was so widely trashed by mainly white straight men, right? So this is a form of music and dance that was popular among women, among people of color, among the queer
mhm.
community. And so of course it was shat upon. So
Yeah.
like there is something amazingly subversive and powerful and important about disco culture. Um,
Mhm.
and I didn't really know about that when I first saw this film, but subsequently having learned some about that and then watching this again, I'm like, yeah, this movie, like, and how this fits into so many things that are in, Hindi mainstream cinema. Anyway, song, dance sequences,
Yeah.
someone being inexplicably really good at dancing. Like, like we don't see them studying or anything. They just are like
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff and a way of um having fun and of raising voices and bringing people together, which happens a lot in this movie. Like the audiences in this movie are having a grand old time too, which
Yeah.
I feel like you don't necessarily see as much of in some films. So like that's really
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
This is all really important, and it's got this interesting um kind of socialist message about these street
Yeah.
kids and like
Mhm.
they deserve art too. And like I'd forgotten how the street kids raise money to give to Jimmy when he's
They're so
hurt. And
sweet.
I was like, yeah, see,
Yeah.
this happened. This is before the Amitabh accident, right? When people
Right,
like freaked out.
probably before
So
Kuli.
yeah, before Cooley. So this is just really interesting the way that the kind of class identity of this character is important. And uh obviously his relationship with his mother is nothing unique in Hindi cinema, but is right
Right.
there. The hand feeding, it has to be mentioned,
Yes.
is that that's another thing that back in the blog days we were all like, what's going on with this?
Right.
We were just a bunch of ignorant foreigners who didn't know. But yeah, disco dancer, it's really fun.
It's a lot of fun. I have to say, Karan Razdan, I looked up his name because I had no idea who he is, who plays Sam. Oh my God, if I could give an award for overacting, I would give it to him. He like it's like Mithun actually comes across as very restrained
Oh yeah.
in this
Yeah.
movie, and Karan Razdan, it's like everything is at fever pitch. Like everyone is talking like this, and Karan Razdan is screaming his head off. I was like, man, take a chill pill. What is wrong with you? He's hysterical.
Did you look up his credits?
His filmography. Yeah, he's actually a writer apparently. Like he's written a whole bunch of things, and he was involved with the very famous
Yeah.
TV show Rajni.
He was a writer on Love Story 2050, which
Oh
is I mean, talk
gosh.
about a fever dream of a film. Wow.
Yes.
Uh yeah, no, I have a special affection for this character Sam because he's so absurd. He's
It's
just the
ridiculous.
most debauched of, I mean, he's not the most debauched villain because he's not out there killing people, but he
Right.
is, and like you said, he's a diva or a devo or whatever, and is
Yeah.
just deranged and debauched and completely irrational, and we
Such a
love to see it.
tantrum thrower.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And everyone around him is always like, what is wrong with him? And I love the scene where his dad, I forget the actor's name, but the dad is like
Om
one of those
Shivpuri.
uncles, Om
Mhm.
Shipuri. He's one of those uncles that's in everything. And he's trying to cheer up Sammy. And of course, Sammy, there is no cheering up Sammy
No.
because Sammy is a diva. And Sammy's just like, meh, 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 meh. And then his dad comes to him with like, good luck. And he's so serious and stern. And you can see he's making an effort. And he goes, Beta, तुम्हें पता है वो अब डिस्को डांस नहीं कर पाएगा. And then he's like, क्यों नहीं कर पाएगा? And then he's like, उसको गिटार फोबिया हो गया है. He has phobia of guitar phobia.
There's a very long explanation of guitar phobia relatively in this film. Because this one of the things that really struck me in this rewatch is there is not a lot of connective tissue in this film. It just
No,
kind of goes from plot point to plot point without much context being built or
there's no
whatever, except
segue.
guitar phobia is really, really hammered. I'm like, we got it. Like you didn't even have to hammer
He even explains it, like he gives an
Yeah.
extra line because I think
Yeah.
Sammy's like, वो क्या होता है? And then he's like, वो जब गिटार को देखता है, वो घबरा जाता है. अब वो गिटार नहीं बजा पाएगा. I was like, wow, like take a shot every time he says guitar. I actually, my brain was infected by the fever dream,
Mm.
and the brain went into like an alternative reality where there was a subplot where Shami Kapoor was the surgeon, and he has to like inspect, like not inspect. What is it the doctors do? Diagnose?
Yeah.
Yeah. He has to inspect the disco dancer, and then he's like he tries to treat the guitar phobia.
Right, right,
I
right.
would pay money to watch this scene. I would
Oh
love to
yeah,
watch
that
it.
would be good. This
Yeah.
movie is missing a Kapoor. I guess it was probably not quite up to their up to
No.
their standards, but it does
They
have,
were
I
too
mean,
elite for it.
it's got great singing in it too. Like
Yeah.
I just
The
love it.
songs are amazing. I mean, to
Uh,
this day, like Jimmy Jimmy Aja, like Parvati Khan's like masterpiece. And then of course I
mhm.
Am a Disco Dancer. I mean, these are like very giddy, happy songs. And then oh my God, I love Yaad Aa Raha Hai Tera Pyar. It is
Yeah.
like one of the best like sad songs that Bappy
Mhm.
has sung. And it is
Mhm.
classic Bappy in the sense that yes, it's a sad song, but it's still very like
It's a
epic
bop.
and melodramatic. It's such a bop. Like,
Mhm.
and it's a bop that he is playing the guitar to and dancing to. And I'm like, yeah, that is such a boppy move.
So among my notes for this movie include the questions, is this movie actually about disco dance, a dancer, a disco guitarist, a disco musician, a disco performer, maybe is the word we should use.
Performer,
Like,
a
I
star.
mean, it's actually about revenge, as we stated, and a
Yes.
little bit about the journey of the artist, but mostly revenge.
Yeah.
It's a class struggle, you know.
Yes.
Why is Om Shivpuri so angry all the time? That's a question I ask. He's so angry all the
It is
time about
because
nothing.
he has never done disco. He
That's
has never
true.
swung his hips. He has never done the hip thrust, and therefore he is sad.
If
You
he
never
would
see him wear
just
sparkle. Yeah.
no,
If he would just wear a sequin jacket, it would turn him around. But
because
no, he's never done that.
his kids love disco, but he,
Yeah.
does not. Um, I wrote down, is disco in the heart? I think disco is in the heart because you can disco outdoors with no electrical anything around. Like disco is a
Yes.
very produced sound,
Yes.
I think generally, but like with the pew pew and the all the, but then
Or wow.
like the intro song where Rajesh Khanna and Baby Mithun are like dancing around on the street, there's still disco sounds happening. And,
Yeah.
first of all, it's probably like the late it's like circa 1960 when this happens, well,
Yeah.
70 anyway. It's like actually pre-disco and so much, but
Right.
it doesn't matter. Look, it's all good. And so disco, I think, comes from within. Does not
Yeah.
come from instruments. It comes from your inner.
Disco is in the soul.
Disco is in the soul. I have so many notes. I
Like,
just
Panic at the Disco, this is
right.
Revenge at the Disco.
Revenge at the
Murder
Disco,
at the
totally.
Disco.
Totally. Why do we have the detail that Bob Christo, in addition to being a serial killer, is also a singer? He
I have
never
no
sings in the
idea.
movie. Like, was there a Bob Christo musical number that got cut? Because if so, I want it, and I want it really badly because I would love to
Probably.
see that. Are you sold on the romance in this movie?
No,
Me
absolutely
neither.
not.
No,
No.
it's very perfunctory.
I think the only romance in this movie is between Mithun and his own reflection. You can see he's very pleased with himself.
Yeah, I mean, he's had the success that he wanted, and he's gonna like crush that city and make it take note of him. And there's
Yeah.
gonna be Jimmy ice cream and Jimmy t-shirts, which we don't see. We see the like headline, but we don't really see
That really made me laugh.
what flavor is Jimmy ice cream?
Ooh.
I mean, I think so he wears a lot of white, so I feel like it's a vanilla with
Maybe it's affogato. Because that
oh,
would be vanilla ice cream with like espresso on top, because you need energy to do the
that's
disco all
true.
night. And so therefore you need that. So I think it's vanilla affogato
Which is kind of like the Red Bull
is
of
them.
ice cream.
Yes. Or ice cream with Red Bull on it. That would also
Oof.
work actually. And then your mother can feed it to you with her hands.
And we have to talk about the international disco competition that consists of Africa, Paris, and India. None of these
I
things
think
is
there was
like the other.
I think there was one more country, right? Wasn't there?
No.
Was it just Paris? There was, yeah. I was like, okay, Africa is a continent, you guys. And then they were like Paris, and I was like, okay, that's a city. And then they were like India, and I was like, okay, sure.
And I feel like the people they got to do the other two, Paris and Africa, are probably extras they found on the street or something. Like
Probably.
those
But
people
the
are not
Paris
as good as some of the
guy,
others.
no, but the Paris guy was
He's
dancing
fun.
really well. I
Yeah.
was like, wow, you're very limber. He had very
The
like,
women are very lackluster in the
they're
international
very
disco
lackluster.
competition. So maybe the men are like the ones who know what they're doing and the women were extras. I don't know. Um, do we think that Rajesh Khanna insisted on that death sequence because it is prolonged?
He's so bad. He hiccups while he's dying. And when he goes like, Jimmy, Nach, Nach, tumhe Nach nahi padega, Nach. I'm like, calm down. You're going to have a heart attack. And then, of course, he eats the bullet. But oh my God, it is so tortured.
As I believe I've said, don't get the big deal about Rajesh Khanna. I like him okay, but like as much as I love the
Yeah.
70s, he's just kind of like to me. But I really need to learn because the decline and fall of Rajesh Khanna is fascinating to me. And I've watched, I think, maybe more of those films than I have of his like superstar
Right.
stuff. And again, he's one of those people who, in my experience, is always doing something.
Yeah.
And he is doing a lot. He is doing everything in this movie. He is very extra. It kind of has the feel of like he never thought he would work again or something, and he's getting like every
Right.
last thing into this film. So I'm for it. The
But it
deaths
was
in
so
this movie are
funny.
spectacular.
Yes, the deaths are very, very well choreographed, I have to say. Um, it was so funny because you see Rajesh Khanna at the very beginning in that Goro Ki Na Kalu Ki song, also a very famous number, and then
Mhm.
and then he just like leaves without so much as a like a
How do you
farewell in
do?
a way.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
Like
going
he's
back to
just
the
gone.
village, and here's my
Yeah.
guitar.
And I was like, that's it. We just had Rajesh Khanna for the one song. And then he came back in the end and I was like, there you are.
So as Jimmy is getting famous, there's a cut to two people in a bed with his picture under their pillow. Is that
Yeah,
Rajesh Khanna? That's him, right?
no, 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 no,
No,
no.
that's
That's
not
not
him.
Rajesh
Okay.
Khanna. That's
Okay.
some like random person. Yeah.
Okay.
But that was a funny scene though, where he takes out his pillow and there's like a woman and he puts it back and then the woman lifts her pillow and it's
And it's
Jimmy. It
Jimmy.
was funny. I also love that Jimmy's actual name is Anil, which is so not a
Right.
disco dancer name. And so they just christen him Jimmy, which begs the question, what is Sammy's real name? Because I don't think Sam's name is Sam either then. It's probably some like boring name.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
it's
don't know.
Sunil or something. Everyone has very disco names in this, except for Ma. Ma is not very disco. Ma
No.
just seems very flabbergasted throughout this movie. Ma like sleepwalks through this movie.
Yeah, this is a pretty classic film Ma in some ways. except for her death, which is obviously
Yes, very
remarkable,
good.
one for the ages, one for the books. She's just,
She's
this isn't,
just catatonic.
yeah, this isn't Ma's fault, but like a whole neighborhood shaming you because you were convicted of a theft 3 years ago and it was a theft of a guitar and like nobody got hurt or anything. I was like, this, there's like I know we're supposed to have an emotional reaction to that, and that
Right.
does not really gel for me. And I can still get along in the film fine without it,
Yeah.
but I wonder for audiences at the time if that like actually worked in
They're
the way
probably
I
like,
feel like it was supposed to.
okay,
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
let's just go to Goa. It's fine.
Yeah. Um, so do you want to talk about Jhoom Barabar Jhoom?
Yes,
It's such a fun movie.
it's such a fun
Um,
movie.
Jhoom Barabar Jhoom is one of those movies that is kind of ridiculous,
Oh yeah,
but it's ridiculously fun,
yeah.
which is what makes it good. Also, I've seen this movie before, but it was only after rewatching it this time that I realized that Abhishek Bachchan in this movie is proto Ranveer Singh.
Yeah.
The way he's dressed, like he's so like Rocky Randhawa or whatever was Ranveer Singh's name in Ban Baja Barat, which I've forgotten his name in that, but
Mm-hmm.
he is so that like that loud Punjabi character with the streaks in his hair and the jewelry and the bad English and the
Velvet.
flamboyance and the velvet and the flamboyance and the show offiness. Like he is that person, and I
Mm.
actually thought he was amazing at it because
I
Abhishek
yeah,
hasn't done a lot of those roles. We
no,
associate those with Ranveer Singh. So
yeah,
watching him in that, I was actually like, this was fun. Why didn't
yeah,
he do more of that?
yeah. I think he's really fun. I think everyone's pretty fun in this movie.
Yeah.
And Abhishek and Priti Zinta is a pairing I really enjoy. I think they're very cute together. Yeah, I think he in particular looks really good in this film. That longer hair with a headband and everything. I'm all for it.
The Kajal looks good on
Uh-huh.
him. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Can't go into Waterloo Station without wanting to dance around. Kiss of Love is my favorite song from this film because it is so silly and I love
It is
it.
so silly. I love Ticket to Hollywood. I find
Oh
that
yeah,
hysterical.
it's a
I
good
love that
one.
they're calling it Hollywood. I'm like, you can just say LA. Like it's there. Um, I love Lara Datta in this movie, which is
Yeah.
shocking because I haven't seen very many Lara Datta movies. I think she was stuck in that zone with like Shilpa Shetty and then
Mm,
also Priyanka Chopra at the beginning of her career when
mhm.
they kept doing those like Dharmesh Darshan movies, which were like very terrible and weepy. And so I've never had much of an opinion of Lara Datta. I thought she was extremely beautiful in that movie Billu with Irfan. Like
Yeah.
she was very good in that. But I really enjoyed her in Jhoom Barabar Jhoom. She's this sassy, potty mouth, streetwalker. And there's a scene where Preeti Zinta and Lara Datta are in the makeup room, and Preeti Zinta is just like being a bitch to her, and she's saying all these rude things, and Lara Datta just like keeps filing her names, and she doesn't even like react, and she just says bad things back. It was hysterical. And then Bobby Deol is a trip in this movie. He's hysterical as Satvinder Singh.
Bobby, this is the I mean, this is predates the Bobby songs by
Yes.
10 years or whatever, right? So this was a
Yes.
weird, I'm not super familiar with his career trajectory, but in my head, he's not doing a whole lot at this time. Is that accurate?
No. I think this is around the time where he was starting to like the downward spiral was
Mm,
beginning because he was no longer like young and cute enough to do those movies like, you know, Barsat and Soldier and like Bekhudi, like those movies were like done. And now he was like starting to flounder, I think. And Jhoom Barabar Jhoom was probably one of his only hits before because Bobby could never act. Let's face it. He was never really known as an actor. He couldn't dance either. He also couldn't emote. I'm struggling to think of the things Bobby can do. He cries well in Apne, I will say that. Um,
I think he's really fun in this movie,
He's
honestly.
fun in this movie, but there's not
Yeah.
a lot he can do
But like,
outside of this
yeah,
movie.
it's like again, why did oh, it's too bad we couldn't tap into that a little bit more. Like I think, now that you're saying this, it's making me think almost anyone who's been in a few mainstream Hindi films probably would have had a great deal of fun in this one,
Yes.
or honestly in Disco Dancer.
Yeah.
Because people who've grown up in this environment of these films, even just as watchers, like to get to do this stuff must be a treat, at
Yeah.
least sometimes. Maybe if it's all you did, maybe it would get tiresome, but like this, to get to enact some of this stuff that's like seeped into your your cultural DNA would be really
Yeah.
fun. So I can imagine
And
for Bobby, this was a good time. I hope.
yeah, it's just this like over the top fun. There's like the soundtrack of Jhoom Barabar Jhoom is amazing. Like a
Very
Shankar
good.
Hassan Loy just like going crazy. The title song is phenomenal. And you're getting to where I found the costumes in this movie really fun as well. They're all very, very over the top. Like I'm definitely not going to be running out and buying the bright orange or bright purple sequined mermaid lehengas that Preeti and Lara are wearing, but they're fun to wear. It's just kind of loud, and then there's the whole like Mr. and Miss South Hall dancing
Yeah.
competition. It's like it's just again, it's giddy fun, and
Yeah.
you don't really have to like flex your acting muscle too much, and you can just sort of like coast and have a good time. And so I think like everyone in this movie is like really kind of enjoying themselves in his shows, because that's the main thing in this film. It's not, you're not out here to like show how talented you are.
Mm-mm.
And I think of Jhum Barabar Jhum as a dance movie, even though it's technically not. Like none of the people in this film are dancers.
Mm.
Abhishek Bachchan is like a small time petty criminal, like who does a lot of like different things, and they all sound very shady to me. um Bobby Deol works in like an optometrist's office. Preeti Zinta works in some sort of shopping center, I think, and Lara Datta is a streetwalker. And then they're just, but the movie is a true musical in the sense that many
Mm.
Bollywood movies are not, where every
Yeah.
song takes the story forward and tells you a little bit more about them. And it's just kind of fun. Also, I tend to really enjoy Shad Ali's films, I've noticed. Like, he's the director
Ooh,
who also
yeah.
made
Let me
Bunty or
look.
Bubbly.
Yeah. Oh, and
So there's this,
Habib Faisal is one of the writer,
yeah.
so his are good too. Yeah.
So there's this like goofiness to his films, like no one is like Bunty or Bubbly is
Oh,
like such a hilarious
and he
film.
did Kill Dill, which I think is a highly underrated film. I remember
I've
really
never seen
enjoying
Kill
that.
Bill.
So do you know who's in it?
Who?
So it's Ranveer and but then Govinda.
I've never even heard of this film.
Yeah, it's
Kill Bill.
Ranveer and oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? Ali Zafar.
Okay.
And then
Okay, I'll give it a
Govinda,
shot.
Pariniti Chopra and Govinda are in it. And Govinda
Wow.
plays a crime boss, if I recall correctly.
Okay, I will definitely watch it then. If Govinda plays a crime boss, I'm watching it. But yeah, Shad Ali's films tend to be very like colorful and fun and loud, and they don't make a lot of sense, and they don't have to. They're just very enjoyable movies to watch. Um, what do you think about Lara Datta? I'm just curious because I was so blown away by her in this film, and I've never been blown away by her ever.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a quick look at her filmography. I think that I often find her better than I expect to because I have a very low
Same.
estimation of people who go from beauty pageant slash modeling into acting. I shouldn't know probably about it. I should not make that assumption, but we've all seen some stinkers too. Obviously, we've talked about the actors slash models slash
Yes.
actors when we were talking about Zoolander a while ago. But but I don't think she's bad at all. I don't think she's great. Um, like she's fun in Partner. Um,
Oh yeah.
she's in Dawn 2. She's in yeah, I don't really have anything to say about her in particular. I think she's uh I'm sure that pretty much anyone else could do anything that she's doing in the films I've seen
Yeah.
her in. At least like she'd be pretty easily replaceable, but she's not awful. I
Right.
don't wish her gone the way I do some other people. So
Yeah. She was
I don't
cute.
know.
I liked her dancing in it. I was actually surprised by how well she danced because I just never thought of her as someone who can dance. Preeti is, of course, great in the dances. Abhishek is great in the dances. Bobby Deol tries very hard. He must have rehearsed like crazy because he's pretty decent in the dances also. This movie also has an amazing Rahat Fateh Ali Khan song, which is Bolna Halke Halke.
Yes, that's so lovely.
It is
I've forgotten
such a
about that
beautiful
song.
song.
Hmm.
It comes
Hmm.
out of nowhere and it makes no sense in the context of the film because every other song in this movie is just like over the top and loud and fun and silly. And then Bolna Halke Halke is just this like extremely romantic, sensual, beautiful song for the ages. So it's quite a tonal shift.
Yeah.
But Amitabh Bachchan, I mean Abhishek, he definitely does that like nod to his dad with the red coolie outfit at the
Yeah.
train station,
Yeah.
and Preeti Zinta in the green like outfit with the dupatta and the kajal. Ah, she looks so stunning. I was very
Hmm.
reminded of her and Bir Zara when I saw that.
Yeah.
Um, and they have really, really good chemistry, the
They're
two of
cute
them.
together. Yeah.
So yeah, that was like that's a really good song as well. I had a question for you. Have you ever seen the movie Janiman?
Yes. I don't remember it terribly well, but I have seen it.
So Janiman tends to be one of those films that I always compare Barabar Jhoom to Janiman because I
Mm,
feel like they have a lot of similarities. And Janiman is by
hmm.
Shirish Kundar,
Hmm.
more popularly known as Farah Khan's husband. And it's one of those very odd films that like
Yeah.
never became a big hit. No one ever talks about it. But I saw it in the theater when it was released, and I really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
And it has that same weird goofiness and surrealism that Jhoom Barabar Jhoom has. Like Jhoom Barabar Jhoom is a movie that like pokes fun at itself and
Yeah.
doesn't take itself too seriously, and also kind of like laughs and kind of like winks at the audience. And Johnny Man is one of those that do the same. But it's so hard to find those films. I think that's one thing that they don't do a lot of in Hindi cinema.
Mm.
Um, and so it's nice when you occasionally have a film that's like that. What are your overall favorite dance movies apart from these guys?
Oh, um, that's not a genre that I gravitate towards particularly. So I don't probably have a strong set to choose from. I remember really enjoying ABCD,
Okay.
but I
Is
haven't
that the one that has
rewatched it.
Varun Dhawan?
Yeah,
Okay, I haven't seen it.
and the second one. I haven't seen the third one, but I saw the second one and enjoyed that relatively. Um, I mean, Bhumika. Wow. Wow, 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 wow,
Ugh.
wow, wow,
I
wow,
mean, the
wow,
combination
wow,
of Smita
wow.
Patil and Sham Benegal, like, wow,
Right.
good luck. And it's actually based on an autobiography. It's
Mm,
based on a book called Sangte Aika, which means I will tell you, listen. And
uh,
it's by Hansa Vadkar, who was like a very
mm,
famous Marathi
mhm.
actress. And she wrote the book, and Bhumika is made on that. And I mean, that is just such a powerful movie. That's not, I don't even necessarily, I mean, I know it's a movie about a dancer, but I don't even necessarily think of it as that.
Mm,
It's just such a powerful movie just about being a woman, I think.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
very strong.
I mean, do we consider the Umrao Johns to be about dancers?
Yeah,
I think so. Like those
I
are
would
kind of
think so.
hard to bypass as well. I like
Yeah.
both of them.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I'm
I
actually looking at
almost
the
slotted Dirty Picture in this because Silk
yeah,
Smitha started out as a dancer, and then, she wasn't as much known for her acting skills as she was her dancing and her, being sort of like a pinup
right.
icon. So I
I'm
think of
looking
that
I'm
as a
looking at
dance movie.
this list on Wikipedia. So of the Hindi ones, there's Chance Pe Dance. Remember that one?
Okay. Mhm.
Shahid. I had not heard of the 1991 film Dancer starring Akshay Kumar. So I went and looked at some of the songs from that, and that's
You sent me a song
pretty fun.
from
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
And he's dancing, the dance floor is a giant guitar, and then they do the thing with the clothes are outlined in little lights, which I always love. No
Yeah.
matter that happens a couple times throughout Hindi cinema. I always love those. I mean, Happy New Year is about a dance troupe, but I'm not going to name that because that's not a good movie.
It's
Um,
terrible.
and
It is such a
I
horrible
don't remember
movie.
any songs from that movie, to be honest with you. I
No,
couldn't name you a single one.
they're
Um,
terrible.
yeah, I don't I'm just kind of
Do you
flicking
like
through
Dil
this
To
list.
Pagal Hai?
Yeah, I do. And I that's definitely on my list of things I need to see for the when we get to Charisma in our Superstar
Yes.
series. I have seen it, but I would need to watch it again. Um, I feel like my dominant memories of that are not are the dance off obviously is great, but I
Yeah.
don't. That's kind of the bulk of what I remember of
It's
him
like
back.
a very weak Yash Chopra movie for me. Like when I
Yeah,
think of Yash Chopra, which is very sad because you have the triple threat of like you have Shah Rukh, Madhuri,
right.
and Karishma, and the music is so great. And yet I don't know what it is about that movie. It never grips me
Yeah.
the way that other Yash Chopra movies do. I just don't care as much about the characters.
Here's a dance movie that I enjoy, and I think you can call it a dance movie, is Aja Nachle. That's fun.
Yes, that is a fun
And
movie. I actually like that.
I think that the um Akshay Khanna's little turn as the like bad guy, and that is really fun. And
Yeah.
he and Madhuri are really cute together, and she's
Yeah.
obviously lovely in that film. So that one, I might name
That's a
that
cute
one.
one. I think of Tal as a dance movie. Do you think of that as
I actually think of it as
right?
a musical, but
Performer.
yeah, performer. But I love that movie a lot, and I know there's some problems
Yeah.
with it, but I love it. It is
Yes.
so visually spectacular, and the music is phenomenal.
Aishwarya
Love that
Rai in
movie.
Ramta Jogi. Oh,
Oh,
oh my God.
I mean
It's
everything
like
about that
set the
movie.
screen on fire. She
Hmm.
wears this like cream colored like dhoti and like a little bralette and a top. And
Hmm.
when she comes on screen and she's backlit,
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
what a beauty. Superb. And I love her in that song, Kahi Aag Lage Lag Jave. Kabhi Naag Dase Das Jave. And she has all like
Hmm.
the stuff in her hair. It's the little like Maleficent Disney evil person, that the frosted
Oh, the
makeup, and then
costumes in that film are
yeah,
spectacular.
amazing. And then
Yeah,
the Shamak Davar troop, you can see Shahid Kapoor
yeah,
next to her. He's so
yeah.
young, and
Little
they drape
baby.
her in that fabric thing,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it's such a treat to watch.
It's
I love
such
that.
a good film.
And then Akshay Kumar on the rain-soaked streets in Nahi Samne Ye Alag Baat Hai. Oh, I love that
I
too.
love that too. Akshay Khanna. Get your Akshay straight there, girl.
Yes, so great. Oh,
Not
what
the
did
same.
I say? Did I say Akshay Kumar?
Yeah.
Oh, no, no. Akshay Kumar on a rain-soaked street would be doing parkour.
Very different
He
vibes.
would not be looking lovelorn. He'd be
No.
like, "Choo, choo."
I need to, in honor of our friend Melanie, the Tiger Schroff scholar, we have to name Mona
Yes.
Michael. It's a film about dancing, which
Oh,
actually
yeah.
I did enjoy. I don't, it's not a film I'm going to tell people they need to watch, but it was fairly enjoyable.
I actually
Yeah.
want to see Munna Michael because I like Nawazuddin Siddiqui, but
Yep.
I have a question. Does he play a dancer in it?
He's learning to dance in it, as I recall.
Okay. Because Nawaz is a
Right.
dancer, would
No,
that would just really make me
no.
laugh.
We
I
got
was
Tiger for
watching an
that.
interview once. Yes, we have Tiger for that. But I was watching a long time ago the Farah Khan episode on Rendezvous with Simi Garewal, and Simi Garewal asked her who is the worst dancer you ever had to choreograph in Bollywood, which is such a fun question.
Yeah.
And literally Farah Khan, without skipping a beat, didn't bat an eyelid. She goes, Nana Patekar.
I
And
think
I
he
was
would
like,
probably not
when
be
did she
upset with that.
for sure. But I was like, when did she choreograph him? And then I asked my cousin, and she was like, yes, there's that terrible rap song that was, I think it was like an Anu Malik song. And then I went and looked at it on YouTube. Oh boy, that is a
Mm.
toughie.
This is showing my ignorance about a particular era. Are there any Urmila Matondkar films about dancers? Because I love her as a dancer.
Rangila.
Of course, Rangila, right,
Rangila.
right.
Yeah. Rangila for sure. I mean she's such a versatile actress that
Mm.
even though she's such a good dancer and so beautiful, she's pretty much
Rangila is
only done Rangila.
not on this list of dance films. That's interesting.
Well,
Huh.
that's dumb. It is a dance film.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think Urmila's most famous performances, apart from Rangila, would probably be Con and Ek Hasina Thi and all of
Hmm.
those. So
Hmm.
surprisingly, she didn't do as many movies where she's like a dancer. Neither has Madhuri, like with the
Yeah.
exception of Dil To Pagal Hai and
Janachle.
Aja Nachle. Every other film, it was more like she had dance numbers in it, but that wasn't like
Yeah.
the thing in
Yeah.
it. Or she was a dancer in it, but that wasn't as central to the movie. I think Govinda has a fair bit of movies that he did very early on in his career
There
where he's a
must be,
dancer.
right?
Like there was a yeah, like there was one song, like there was a disco, was it called Disco 82 or something like that?
Love
Maybe that's the
86.
movie. Maybe it was Love 86 that I'm thinking. That has Neelam in it.
Yeah. But there is a Disco 82 song, right? I can hear it in my
Yeah, it's
head.
like Disco 82.
Hmm.
Disco 82, la la la. And then it's like Pani Sa. It's the oh, a very weepy dance movie is Sargam with Jayaprada and Rishi Kapoor. That
Mm.
has the famous Duffly Wale song. But that's very weepy though. Um, why is it that like I feel like a lot of dance movies, I think the reason I don't gravitate towards it as a genre, maybe your reason is the same or maybe it's different, is like I feel like they usually fall into two camps. There's the camp of weepy and tragic and all these sad things that happen to performers, and they're a little bit melodramatic and over the top and I don't care.
Mm.
Or there's a category of like, I'm an artiste and this is my artistic journey.
Yeah.
And again, I don't care.
Yeah, that's probably a big chunk of it. And that latter type, I'm so tired of that generally,
Yeah, me
because they
too.
tend to follow really particular beats that are very, very common. And I'm not trying to say that that's not true to life. And it's like sports movies also follow very particular beats, and somehow those work better for me
Yes.
than like struggle of the artiste, even though I don't care about sports and I do care about art. I can't explain to you why these are different for me,
Yeah.
but the
Weirdly
formula of the
same.
art of the artist movies are just, and it's often a man, right? So you're like, oh, the great man and all the
Yeah.
people he crapped on his way up the ladder and continues to be bad too on his way back down, like great. Great, just what we need. Um, yeah, which is why something like, Umar Jan is, we at least we have a woman at the center of it
Yes.
as the artist. That's a little more, that's just different, therefore more interesting,
Yeah.
at least to
Yeah.
start with. So yeah, that is definitely going to be part of it. And I don't tend to like movies about, say, painters either, because of this same
Are
thing.
there movies? Which are
I can't name you
movies
any
about
Indian
painters?
ones, but like there's a movie about Jackson Pollock,
Okay.
for example, and
Okay.
or movies about,
Yeah.
like, there's a bunch of movies about like Chopin and Beethoven and people like that. And I
Oh, yeah.
love
Oh,
their
I
I
don't watch those
love
either.
their music, but I don't and poets, like I don't really need to see another movie about Byron. He's a jerk, we know. So,
I actually wouldn't mind watching a movie about Keats. I just think it would
oh,
be
there
so,
is one.
like, as long as they didn't make it, well, is it very tragic, though?
It's going to
I mean, it
be,
has to
well,
be
it's got
tragic
to
because
be
he died
somewhat
so
tragic.
young.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
that, if I recall, stars Johnny Lee Miller as Keats, if I recall correctly. um
Oh. Is there, like, a happy movie about poets? Because I would watch that, where
no,
there's, like, a lot
girl.
of partying and fun.
No. Oh, it is not Johnny Lee Miller. It is Ben Whishaw. I don't know how I got that mixed up, because that's not even the
I don't
same
know who that is.
generation of people. You've seen him and stuff, but yeah. Um,
Okay.
is there
I
another
don't
movie?
mind it when people make movies about, like, highlighting certain professions or occupations, but it's always more fun when they're, like, giddy and enjoying themselves and having fun, and they have a smile on their face and a swing in their hips. I like those.
Hmm.
That probably does not lend itself to, like, the tortured artist stereotype, but well, are there any movies, like Hollywood movies that are about dance that you like? I love Dirty Dancing. I've watched that movie 1,000,000 times and I will not stop.
That was
Nobody
a
puts baby in a corner,
No
dance,
one
dance.
does. I mean, such a fixture of slumber parties in my formative years. That movie has never really done much for me for whatever reason.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Patrick Swayze with the shirt
Yeah,
unbuttoned down to his waist?
no. I don't, yeah, I'm a traitor to my generation for sure. Like the Gen X were supposed to love
You
that movie,
are.
but
You're
it
not
never
allowed
worked
to
for
be
me.
Gen X if you don't like
I
it.
know, I know.
If you say if you say you don't like reality bites, then you're definitely
Oh,
not a Gen
well, I mean, I
X.
haven't seen that in a long time, but I suspect it would hold up well as a cultural artifact. For me, the
Okay.
quintessential Gen X movie is Heathers, which I love.
Yes. Yes, Heathers.
Um, a couple of my coworkers, we found out, hadn't seen Heathers, and we were like, "What?" and screeching at them that they needed to see it. Okay, movies about dancers. I mean, many of the Fred Astaire movies are about a dancer or two
Yeah.
dancers or whatever, and I love all of those. And we'll watch them. I can't even remember which one is which half the time, because they're kind of similar in some ways, at least some of them. And I mean, I will watch anything that Fred Astaire does. I absolutely adore Fred Astaire. So like Top Hat, for
Right.
example, is, that's a movie about a
Right.
dancer, and I love it. Um,
Have you seen Black Swan? I avoided it like the plague, and so I've never seen it.
no, I
Should I?
haven't either.
Oh,
Yeah, it just hasn't appealed to me for whatever reason. But I would watch it if someone said like, "Hey, you want to watch this?" I suspect fairly
right.
campy, silly thing at a slumber party. I'd say sure.
Yeah. I
Eat
know it
Twizzlers, watch a
for some
movie.
reason I never felt like watching it, but I remember when it came out what a big thing it was, and like that Halloween everybody was Black Swan in
Oh,
Chicago and
sure.
everything,
Yeah.
but I never Also, I'm not a big fan of Natalie Portman, so
Not
I was like,
either.
whatevs. Um,
Yeah. He is a dancer in that. Yeah,
Saturday
he's a
Night
dancer.
Fever, definitely a big dance movie, my
Yep.
favorite.
Yep.
And Dirty Dancing. I think I
Breakin'.
like them because they're so fun. Which one?
I loved the movie Breakin' when I was a kid, the
I
breakdance
don't know
movie.
this movie. Huh.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a classic from our. Had you grown up in America, you would have seen it and loved it, I'm sure.
Mm.
Breakin', and then the sequel to Breakin' is called Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo. So anytime anyone says
Ooh,
there's a sequel to something, you have to say Electric Boogaloo because it's such
okay.
a funny combination of words. I believe
Ooh,
it's one of those
I
like
have
Our
one.
Dance Will Save the Community Center kind of movies. Like yeah, I think
Yes.
it's one of those,
I
but
was
I
just
loved
gonna
it as
say
a kid.
Footloose. I love
Oh,
Footloose.
Footloose, my favorite. Yes, that and the Fred Astaire movies are my
So
favorite
cute.
dance movies. Yes, and technically they're not dancers because they're high school students, but they are dancers in
Right,
their
right.
heart. Like
I
dance is in the
follow
heart, like disco.
yes. I follow Kevin on Instagram and
Oh,
he's so darling and adorable. Like I want him to be my best friend and we
if
can
you
like raise goats together.
if you have not seen Footloose, listeners, please watch Footloose. And also our friend Mo, who is an American who has worked in Bollywood, she and I have talked many times about her potential to adapt Footloose for the Indian context. Because I can't believe there isn't an
Nice.
Indian remake of Footloose, given the.
Yes.
And someone told me on Twitter once, we're like, well, there's no way an Indian town would outlaw dancing. That's ridiculous.
That's actually true too.
And I get that, but also I'm like, ridiculous has never stopped any Indian film from doing anything. So what are you
That is
talking
also
about? Or like
true.
most
That is
American
also
films,
true.
American films too. Like that's not specific to India, but I'm like, do not tell me ridiculous is a bar to anything in Bollywood. Do not tell me that because I don't believe it.
No. So if you had to rank your favorite dancers in Bollywood
Oh,
films, who would be your top three men and then your top three women? Obviously, the bar for the women dancers is way, 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 way,
much
way higher. So
higher,
even the
much
worst
higher.
woman dancer is probably as good as the at least the third of
Yeah,
the
I
top
would
three
say
men.
that.
So
I
we'll
would say
start with the
that.
men. So who are your top three men?
Okay. Rithik,
Yes.
uh, Shahrukh, I would say partly because I think he is one of these people who continues to act while dancing, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Um,
I love his expressions.
yeah. Uh, oh gosh. Um, I have seen very few Govinda movies because of when he was popular, but I think I'd probably have to say Govinda based on what I've seen. Like I've seen
Yeah.
a lot more of his songs than I have films, but I'd say Govinda, I think.
I think my ranking would be Ritik number 1, Govinda number 2, and Shahrukh number 3. So similar ranking. Now the women, much harder. Oh, we forgot to mention one very good dance. Well, I mean, it's not like a dance movie, but the protagonist is a dancer. Was Guide by the
Oh,
Ramans
sure, of course. Yeah.
and Devanand. We just mentioned Devanand.
Oh, he will
Good luck
never
to
leave us.
us.
That's okay. That's okay. We appreciate his guiding spirit.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's funny too, because you have to go further back to catch the greats, right? To catch all the greats. So yeah, like Wahida and
Hard.
Vijayantimala and
Oh,
um okay, this is going to be an oddball choice, and I may not stick to this. If you asked me again another today, would I choose something else? But
yeah.
again, based on what I've seen, I really like Charisma Kapoor.
Ah, okay.
And there's part of this is like what styles are they doing when, and like what is the music that they're accompanied by and stuff like that kind of factors into this in a way that's not really fair
Right.
in some ways. But of the more recent people, she just is so energetic. There's something kind of Janet Jackson about her to me that I
Right.
really respond to. And again, it may just be because of what I grew up watching and stuff. Like there's kind of like a boppy aerobicsy kind of thing, and I like that.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah,
but I
like
know
you can imagine
nothing.
her in a sports bra.
Right, right. And I just, I know nothing about the Indian classical dance forms, for example. So I can appreciate that there are a lot of people who are good at that. And I just don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah,
But
it's also really funny too because sometimes someone is like known to be like a great classical dancer, and then you see them on film and you're like, okay, but like I'm not particularly into
Mm,
this. For example, Hema Malini,
I was
she
gonna
is
ask,
considered one of
yeah,
the greatest dancers. She continues to perform Bharatanatyam to this day, like
which
on
is so
stage.
cool.
And
Yeah.
every time, yeah, but like every time I've seen Hema Malini's dances on screen, I'm like, okay, like what's the big deal? I don't get it.
Mm.
Whereas with Vajanti Mala, yes, absolutely, I totally get it. Vahida, yes, I
Oh,
get
and I
it. But
forgot to
Hema
say
Malini, what is the
Rekha.
big deal?
I forgot to say
Yes, oh my
Rekha, who
God.
also,
Rekha as well.
like Shahrukh, is continuing to act through her dancing facially in a really amazing way.
Yeah.
And because the range of roles she got to play, there's more to choose from in a way. So maybe it's not fair. And I've seen more
And
of her
she
stuff.
played,
So
yeah, and she
dancers.
played at the Tawayef in so many
Hmm.
movies. So it's like,
Hmm.
she just got so many like
Hmm.
dance things to do.
Hmm.
I also really like Aishwarya as a dancer. I think
Yes.
she's very like
Yep.
graceful and elegant and lovely. I love Madhuri as a dancer. She's
Sure.
just like perfect. Um, Sri Devi, but I
Oh,
haven't seen
Sri
as many
Devi.
Sri Devi
Yeah.
dances. But like with Sri Devi, a lot of the things I've seen, it's not like dancey. Like for example, I love her songs from Chandani, but except for Mere Haathon Mein Nono Churiya Hai, there isn't a single song in Chandani where you would point at it and go, "Wow, that's a great dance." You know what I
Mm.
mean? Or Lamhe, like I love her in that song by The Fire. What is that?
Oh, yeah.
Murni
Yeah.
Bagama, whatever. But there's not a lot of dancing going on in it.
And I'm forgetting Asha Parekh too. Poor Asha Parekh. We keep forgetting her on this podcast, and she's great.
We do. So she's another one where I'm kind of
I don't
like,
know,
yes, I
man.
understand that you're a good dancer, but I don't care.
Mm.
Where I'm like, okay, you know. Um, Helen, the great Helen,
Oh, duh. I undo
is
my whole list. I need
amazing.
to redo my whole list.
Helen is like
Helen is
just
number one. What am I saying? Helen is
amazing.
number one.
Like you cannot watch Pia Tu Ab To Aja without marveling
Oh,
at
I know.
her just her moves and her body. Or I love her in Sholay, in that song
Oh,
Mehbooba Hai
of
Mehbooba, where
course.
she does the belly dancing stuff.
She's
Like just the
incredible.
way she does her hip thrusts,
Right.
it's insane. Like the woman has no bones,
No,
clearly.
I
She
know.
is to me like the Hrithik version. She's like, but way better than Hrithik even.
Yeah.
There's actually a song that used to make me irrationally angry when I was little, because I've always loved Helen and I've always loved Vajanti Mala. And there was a song, it's called Mukabla Humse Na Karo, which literally means do not compete with me. And it's a dance off between Vajanti
I
Mala and
was
Helen. And I'm
just
like,
gonna
how dare
name that
you?
song because then
But it's
Shami
like, how
comes
dare
in
you?
because Shami Kapoor comes in just kind of flailing around, and you're like, how dare anyone call him a dancer in the presence of these two women? No.
Yeah.
He's just,
And he comes in with like full confidence because
yeah.
it's Shami.
And he's literally a prince in that movie. So I just
Yeah.
watched that movie pretty
But
recently.
that's,
And yeah, that song is
oh yeah,
amazing. And
you
then you're
watch
like, the
Prince.
gall, that gall of that
Yeah,
man.
but it's so unfair because it's like, why are you making me pick between these two? Like, they should not be competing. They should just be like friends and confidants because we love them and you
Which
can't
they
pick
are
and
in the
choose.
movie. They're
So
friends in
every
the
time,
movie.
yeah, but like, but in that song, doesn't Vajanti Mala win at the end? Like
I
at the
don't
end of the
remember,
Muqabla,
honestly.
like she wins.
Probably because she's the main character. So
I think
yeah.
she did, and that would make me very upset when I was
Well, and
little. So I would only watch it, but not the end.
she does Indian classical, right? So you can't have Western
Yeah,
dances beat Indian classical. So because Helen does, and
exactly.
then Helen
So
does
I would get
flamenco.
very angry.
Like,
She does, but it's so much fun.
is she
I
good
love
at
it
it?
when
I
she
don't
does
know, but she's fun.
flamenco.
Yeah. Oh man, I need to undo my whole list. So
I
is
know,
it now
right? That's
like
why I like threw
Helen,
Helen at you.
Helen, Rekha?
Okay.
Mm, I don't know. It's really hard.
Okay.
Vijantamala. And this is like my enjoyment levels more than no,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Helen, Vijantimala, Rekha. I'll settle with that for now.
Okay.
Ask me again in
Okay.
a week and it may have changed. But there are just so many
My
women
list
who are
would
so
be
good.
my list would be Vijanti Mala, followed by Vahida,
Mm,
followed by Helen.
mhm.
That is my list.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the more things I watch from the 90s, for example, like Madhuri would surely go up my list, and
Yeah.
Charisma, I would be able to speak about more confident with more knowledge. And I feel like
Right, right.
most of the women, even if they're not generally great dancers all the time, they've all got a song or two in their repertoire that are really good. Like somehow
Yeah,
the fit of the choreography and the music and everything was just right, and they really can shine in that, which is
I
remarkable. I'm sure there are
think
exceptions, but
Bebo's.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Bebo's a great example of that, where she's clearly not a good dancer. She's clearly very stiff, but she has so many like chartbusters and they're so good. And she looks like she's having a good time, which is what matters. And so
And
you go along with it. And she has the
confident.
personality. Exactly. She has the
Mhm.
personality.
Sells
Like she
it.
can do those absolutely idiotic early 2000 songs. Like, what is that terrible? Na nila, na pila, na kala, na gora.
Oh
Abhi hai
yeah.
dupatta mera kora kora. Like, she can do that weird stuff. And but she's having such a good time. You're like, yes, I
Oh,
love it. So I think she's one of those people where her enjoyment level and her extreme confidence tides her over. Where with other actors, like I love Tabu, but with Tabu and with Juhi Chawla, especially with Tabu, you can see how uncomfortable she is.
yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
you want me to do what? She has that dance from Takshak. It's called Rang De, and she clearly
Mm.
looks so uncomfortable doing it. And even now, when they have her as a guest on any like celebrity judging show, like she's like a guest celebrity, they always play that song, and she has to come on the stage doing it, and she like completely phones it in, and you can see she just wants it to stop. It makes me laugh. Okay, did you have any closing thoughts on Dance Dance?
No, I mean, it's just such a huge topic, although our list of films about dancers is a lot smaller than I kind of thought it was. And I'm sure there are
Yeah.
many we're not thinking of, and obviously we're only talking about Hindi really. So
Yes.
um we look forward to hearing more. It's just I'm just so glad that there are lovely movies to watch, that even when the movie isn't lovely, there's some kind of great dance happening, and like
Yeah.
what a generous way that is to create film. And it's just wonderful that these exist.
Yeah. Okay. So that wraps up our episode of Dance Dance. You guys tell us what you think about Disco Dancer, what you think about Jhoom Barabar Jhoom. Tell us what your favorite dance movies are, who your favorite dancers are. What's your ranking for like top three male, top three female? What
Also
were you saying,
tell
Beth?
us, do you have a cure for guitar phobia?
I don't think anyone does except for Dr. Shami Kapoor.
I mean, not this movie's 40 years old, so maybe by now there is a cure for guitar phobia.
I think the cure is Rajesh Khanna coming and screaming, Notch, 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 Jimmy.
Yeah, if Rajesh Khanna screaming at you can cure a thing, then that we have.
Yeah. He should just be like a dance instructor, but he doesn't teach you how to dance. He just screams at you to dance. And the
In
fear, makes you
his
dance.
holding a
Um,
guitar, wearing a poncho.
and then, what are your favorite murder methods? Please let us know
Oh,
because
yeah, please. That is maybe that's a whole other
murder by
episode on
guitar is, yes, we
absolutely
should do an episode on
spectacular.
murder.
I will, and I'm gonna start crowdsourcing that on Twitter, because I feel like there have to be many great ones, especially from some of the 80s and 90s action films that I haven't seen. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a fair number of
Yeah.
Mithun films, but only not compared to his whole filmography, which is vast. But like, there gotta be some great deaths in Gunda that I can't even remember. So
Yeah. What was that recent movie I saw? Like, it's not super recent, but like Rajkumar Rao was in it. Oh yeah, Huma Qureshi was in it. I forget the name, but it was like Death by Snake Bite.
Monica, oh my darling.
I forget.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, Monica, my darling. That was a good death also, like a good
Yes.
murder
Yes, I agree.
mechanism. Um, okay. So tell us your favorite murder methods as well. Not that we're plotting murders or anything. We're very nice people. We're just
Mm.
curious for our podcast. And then we will see you next week. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, we're everywhere. And tell us your suggestions for future episodes. Thank you for watching. Bye.
Dance, 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 dance.